And then I'm sorry, I'm gonna do a little bit of
Yeah.
like the weird, like socially awkward. Hey, my name my name is Ruben Stephen. I'm a sophomore at MIT studying mechanical engineering and computer science. And today I'm here talking to.
Oh, hi, I'm Josh Lankford, and I'm a modeling simulation engineer. I got the Air Force research lab, and I spent a lot of time at MIT through my time at Lincoln Lab and also Commonwealth Fusion. So it's a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, I guess where do you want to start here?
Yeah, I just like honestly, we can just continue along that same thread of
Okay.
like a lot of people don't take full advantage of the education that they get at these top level institutions because they might
Yeah.
focus too much on the education itself as opposed to like developing those like hard skills. And like I like the overarching question like I had asked is like, okay, how do you like there's mechanical engineering, the theory, and then there's like mechanical engineering, the practice, or like engineering in general. Like there's engineering theory and then engineering practice, and then how to get better at the more like trade or like skilled aspect of it versus just like, oh, I learned all this stuff, but now I'm still not hireable because I didn't actually do anything.
Yes. So this is what I think of it as. Especially if you're at an elite school, the magic of MIT is not the undergrad education. It's the research. It's largely being done by either grad students or researchers who didn't even go to MIT.
Mm.
So, so I like to put that as a foundation because the magic of elite schools is that. And it's important to not lose sight of that because frankly, my calculus class, my physics class at Laney College in Oakland, just like a community college, was better than my STEM education at University of Rochester. Just from a learning standpoint. Because at
Mm.
Rochester, their priority at most elite schools, the professors are teaching like they're teaching, but teaching secondary. They're researchers. And half of them,
Yeah.
if you ask them in confidence, what engineering experience do they actually have? A lot of it's like zilch, like they don't have any. Like so it's almost like asking someone who doesn't have any experience in the real world to tell you how to be a good engineer.
It's
That's
not a
not,
willing woman. And to
but they
that
have a
point,
lot to teach.
mm. Wait, say again?
But they still have a lot to teach, but you just gotta put it in the right bucket in your mind.
Mm. I guess, and then what do you have that bucket labeled as for you?
So for me, the way that I think of what you learn in school is you learn a lot of processes. You learn the processes that are useful techniques to learning things faster and also being able to break things apart. But here's my qualm with school is the buckets are useful in that sense of like these different topics, a fluid dynamics class is a class on fluids. But here's the thing that schools do poorly is connect buckets. So think of a class as a bucket of content. One class has a focus, but that focus needs to cross to the other buckets of classes that you teach. But most schools are bad at doing that. And it's because the people who are teaching the classes focus on their one bucket. That's what you do as a fluid dynamics researcher. But that's
Yeah.
not what you do as an engineer. If you're doing fluids as an engineer, you're trying to impact design. So you're interfacing with design engineers. You're interfacing with thermal engineers. You're interfacing with these other categories of engineers. So your fluids isn't in isolation. Your fluids is connected to these other engineering processes that are taking place. But that's not how you're taught in school most of the time.
Huh.
So one of the things that I actually pride myself, I was a poor student, but good at connecting buckets.
Okay.
And the value of that is, and you can be a good student and do this too. It doesn't require being a bad student. It, it's just connecting the buckets is something that you're not going to get in class. But here's where you can get them. Get this experience in college. And where you can get this experience is particularly clubs, competition clubs, like like uh SAE Baja, IEEE Solar Splash, um There's all these competition teams. There's even like battle bot teams. They just build battle robots. You can get those experiences doing those extracurriculars. So there's that. There's the project teams. And those participate in national competitions. And those are where you also have some of the best engineering talent at your school. But often what you'll see is those people who are incredible engineers who you want to get to know may not be the best students who are the top of your class academically. And those are the tinkerers. Those are the brilliant minds who've been building since they were in high school, who have been just like designing, 3D printing. Like they have that intuition. And that's gold. It's beautiful to see. And it's one of those things that if you get to know those people and you appreciate their skills and you just want to like have a helping hand, even if you don't have it, a lot of them are happy to teach because frankly, a lot of them don't even get that much respect by their own classmates because a lot of their classmates can't even see the knowledge that they have.
Gotcha. And so, okay, I'm thinking of like, yeah, I'm gonna try to paraphrase and then please
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm like, okay, how do I apply this? I'm thinking like there's in specific, there's like FSAE, like it's motorsports or whatever at MIT, and it's like the plan of action is like, okay, go there, even if I don't, because like right now I think the club applications are probably closed for the year, but it's like I'm just gonna go try to find like
Go
make
hang.
friends there and then ask, yeah, make friends there and then ask them to try to transport any of like their like tangible skills to me.
No, just lend a hand.
Got you. So like lead with like how can
They
I
got a
help?
lot that they need to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Just help.
Real.
And they might say, okay, you need to get shop certified. Okay, great. How do I get shop certified? Go get shop certified. It might be like a week in class.
Cool.
Yeah. Like that's how you do it. It's like and like then once you get shop certified next semester or whatever, then you come and lend a hand. Or you get shop certified, but then you still watch. So there's some things that you don't need to use tools for. You can 3D print things. There's other things. So even though you may not be able to do it 100%, but being there and helping with 50% that you can do, you'll learn so much through osmosis.
Yeah. Real.
And also, the second way is research. So here's a beautiful thing about schools like MIT. MIT is a unique place because MIT has this magical combination of 1 foot in the real world, 1 foot in like the theoretical.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. And there's not many places like this. The only places that are like this are like your Georgia Techs, your Johns Hopkins. You have a handful of schools that are exceptional about this. University of Michigan, like so you have a handful of them. But even in those schools, as a student, you often don't interface with those parts. So one of them is finding professors who just need a helping hand and as a part-time work study job. Like if you can, if you're an engineer, get an engineering work study job. Like freaking just send some professors some emails. Get to know professors. And this is my hot take. Go outside your department even to whatever it's cool to you and it's focused on skills that you want to build. I was adopted by the optical engineering department like at Rochester. The mechanical engineering department thought I was stupid, but the optical guys, they're like, Josh is like the plug. And one guy hired me to be a lab engineer where I like built stands and helped hold optical equipment for their experiments and stuff. And like it was awesome. And it turns out that they had a secret career fair that like they got on-site interviews and it was nuts. And no one even knew about this outside of that department. But I got adopted by them. It turns out that they had a ton of mechanical work. So the work that people do for their research doesn't align perfectly with departments. S- So it's important to, if you want to do research, focus on the research that is more tailored towards those hands-on skills and tailored towards more like applied stuff. And you can easily find it. And the way to find it is to figure out what professors focus on what. You can look on the bio page. Just talk, literally just send a cold email to professors doing stuff that you're interested in Send a resume. Say that, hey, I'm looking for work study, even if it's not this year, next year.
Hmm. And because I think you had mentioned like how you had somewhat of a like you took a co-op in between like your
Yeah.
schooling. I was gonna ask like one like how you ended up like getting that co-op if you could go a little bit into that story,
Yeah.
and then like how like yeah just basically like your job journey, your job search journey in general, and like any lessons that you think like could be drawn from that.
Yeah. I had many, so the thing is, I had mini co-ops. So like I did co-op at the Navy at one of the research labs. I did co-op at Lincoln Lab. Um yeah, like I did like a supply chain one at like a warehouse in Nevada. Like it was helping with their like industrial engineering processes and supply chain and kind of optimizing a warehouse. So like yeah, I did a whole bunch of things. And so the way that I would find so I think that this is a good like segue.
Mhm.
The third path, other than the clubs, the on-campus research things, is the co-op internship. So that's
Okay.
the third way that you build these skills. And that way is misunderstood by people because I think that students think in a school way, but the way that you get those, you need to think from the perspective of the person who's hiring and what do they care about. It's not what students care about. So there's some jobs, there's some companies that care a lot about GPA. There's some companies that rate you highly on that. Many don't. So the X factor in getting a co-op is getting in front of people,
Mm.
being FaceTime. You can apply to things. Applying to things is fine, but if you're applying to things, you should apply to things that are not the top of everyone's list.
Okay. So like
Because yeah,
yeah, for like trying to apply to like the big FANG companies or something like that, like where you're in a pool of like however many like 30 however many thousands of applicants
thousands.
are.
Yeah, that's a waste of time. So what I would do is not focus on those at all. I would focus on your federal research labs, your freaking national laboratories, your like unicorn startups that have a ton of money that are like doing incredible things
Mm.
and may not even have a formalized internship process, but you can just email someone that you're interested in, like, or um professors doing things often know about these opportunities too. But these don't need to be your professors that you're in their class. They can be professors that you just get to know, who you just admire what their journey's been, what their focus area is. And you may not have ever taken one of their classes.
Gosh. Um, yeah, so like a follow-up question to that, like one, there's a book that one of my friends had recommended to me. It's called The Third Door, and it's essentially like that sort of things, like creating that like maybe like picking an option that might not seem like it's there at face value. And then I was gonna ask specifically in terms of like getting in contact with these professors, like do you have like you mentioned cold emailing as like one strategy, like
Yeah.
basically like any tips or like advice that you might have for like getting it like okay I like this professor's research. I sent them a cold email. They didn't respond to me. What do I do now?
Stop by their office.
Gotcha.
Like here's the thing that people like don't want to think about a lot. If you're some professor at MIT who does amazing stuff, right? But someone at MIT reaches out to you who's just like, you seem amazing. I just want to like learn about your own journey. And even if you just have a 30-minute time to just chat, have a coffee. Like there's like that person's not being hit up for that reason very much. They're being hit up by people who want to be in their grad program, who want something from them. But in this situation, I'm not this is the thing. I actually don't like the idea of asking people for things initially. I like the idea of just hearing what someone's journey is. And then the things that may have alignment that they might be open to helping you with or sharing, they'll tell you.
Got you. Okay.
And they may not give you anything, but them sharing their journey, their story, their lessons, that is them giving something to you.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. You just okay. You just sparked a thought that it was there, and I just haven't been as diligent with it as I probably should have been or should be, and like will
Yeah.
be going forward. of like, especially considering the fact that I'm like growing. Because like when I first got to campus, like sophomore year, I think I was at like 3K. No, I wasn't. Because I set the goal for 3K by the end of like 2024. I'm at like 9-ish. And so like not like I don't know. This is like me specific, I guess, but I'm just going like
Yeah.
the method I'm thinking of applying is like, hey, can I possibly interview you about like your life, bro? And then like from there, not only will it be like a way for me to extract like valuable information, not only for myself and for other people, but then it's also just going to make me like it's going to bring my attention to, like you said, like it's about lifting your head up more so than like putting it down. It's like it'll just bring my head up to like, oh, you're also just doing really cool research. Like, hey, can I get in your lab by the way? Okay.
Yeah. Because people's journeys are just so like variable. And a
Yeah.
lot of people make it to amazing places that may not have even started off at a place like MIT. And I think that a lot of times, those are the people who a lot of times I think that you hear the magic because, like, someone could say, okay, go to MIT, get a 4.0, get some crazy tech job, okay, or you get a PhD after that 4.0, fine. That's great. We all know that story.
Yeah.
Okay, like, okay, you did that. But there's a lot of privilege oftentimes built into those stories that people don't tell you. And that privilege is not something that is like recreatable necessarily in everyone's circumstance. So, a lot of times that privilege is something that they won't even tell you. But once you hear enough of them, you're like, ah, but there's nothing wrong with that because that's the hand that they were born with,
Yeah.
or they were given by their parents or their family, and that's fine. The key here is being able to really look within yourself and understanding your own areas of privilege, and then saying, okay, this is what I got. Take advantage of that privilege. So if you're at MIT, if you're at Georgia Tech, Johns Hopkins, University of Rochester, where I went, fucking use that privilege to the max.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and that's the thing that if you're new to these types of environments, it's hard to know how to do. Where if you went to a fancy high school that everyone went to elite schools, or at least even flagship public schools, like if that's the low level, someone goes to like a UF or like a um, like a like a Georgia Tech. If that's like the low level of your high school, of like the people who are like middle of the road, that's an incredible fucking high school. Incredible. If that's the middle point, wow. Oh, you know. So if someone comes from that world, they likely know how to take advantage of things in a way that it would be hard to do if that's the outcome of a top student at your school. That's a different world.
Yeah.
So like it's all fine. It's just sort of like I say the less privilege you have, the more innovative you need to be. But if you've already made it to even a no-name state school and you come from a humble background, that's a beautiful thing. That's already 50% of the battle.
Yeah. Hmm.
So being different and also not silencing your own innovation. Because elite schools, this is just my opinion. I think that there is a tendency to silent thoughts that are outside of the norm. And a
Hmm.
lot of time that silence people's own brilliance.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy that you mentioned that because I feel like that's been like the primary, I guess, battle and or like resolution that I've come to as like the thing I'm trying to do with the content stuff in general. Because like I got to MIT and I felt that like it might not have been explicit, but it was like I felt like that implicit pressure to be like, all right, now act proper and put away the stuff that like characterized you from your like broke person background. And I'm like, ah. And yeah, and I feel like it's not even like nothing crazy yet, but it's like to the degree that I've like the best opportunities or whatever that I've been starting to experience have come from me being like, nah, I'm a black nigga from South Florida, and I'm gonna speak my mind as I
Yeah.
so please.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, now I'm like getting in contact. Like I started like even with the contact, I started being like, here's 3 tips to master your essay. It's like, nah, fam, I taught like these. I taught like these. I go like I move like this. I'm not a perfect student. XYZ, and I feel like that's like that authenticity piece has been like the core. Yeah, I've decided to make it the core pillar of everything else that I'm doing, bro. Like,
And like here's the thing. Wide acceptance from everyone should not be the goal because you know what that leads to? Mediocrity.
yes, bro. Like,
You
what
know what?
stands for nothing, fall for everything type
Yeah.
beat.
So wide acceptance works well if you come from privilege. So if you come from privilege, that actually makes more sense.
Mhm.
Because if you come from privilege, why acceptability gets you fitting in and gets you opportunities via fitting in. But if
Mm.
you already come from a different background, you're not going to be that person. So it's like that trying to do that is like trying to say, okay, people who have had this training their whole life, I'm going to magically learn all your skills in a way where someone cannot pick apart that I'm not from your background. That's
Mm.
insane. That's insane. You're not going to do it well. You're going to suck at it.
Mm.
And you should suck at it because it's not your story. It's not your experience. So trying to win that race, it's just one, even if you do it well, that's even more sad because you're probably going to end up alienating yourself and you're going to kill a lot of that beautiful innovation in you that even got you there.
Uh, and then even then, like in terms of like okay, say that strategy goes well for you. Like, what do you really gain? Now you have to audition for every day of the rest of your life. You are now this character that you have to play.
Mhm.
It's like no
And,
sorry, like
and like, why get all this privilege if that's what you got to do? That's hella work. Like,
exactly.
like how do I do all that work? Like that's way too much work. And and here's the funny thing about this:
Mm.
the paths that I'm saying here are actually like not a ton of work. They're actually quite fun and interesting and allow you to learn about those magical parts of yourself that you didn't even know were there.
Ah,
So in terms of getting internships, this is what I would say. A place like MIT is special because you can get internships via internal channel. So like let's say at Lincoln Lab, which I strongly suggest that you should try to get a UROP at Lincoln Lab if you can. Is that what it's called? Like
yeah, undergraduate research opportunity.
yeah, yeah. I strongly suggest that you try to get one at Lincoln Lab. Incredible place. And at Lincoln they have talks about all topics. So when you're working there, you can just go to talks, and this is how I learned about my own line of work is through those talks.
Ah, shit.
And and so so, so like internal channels are helpful. So if you go to Georgia Tech, get a job at Georgia, get a research job at the aerospace design lab or at GTRI, Georgia Tech Research Institute, which is like a government research lab. Or if you're at MIT, it's not just Lincoln Lab. There's also the Media Lab.
Mm.
They have undergrad researchers. There's CSAIL, the Computer Science Artificial Intelligence Lab. MIT has all these research institutes, and
Mhm.
they all have a lot of them have internships or research opportunities for undergrads. So that's how you get into the one foot in the real world. So you have those opportunities internally, and many schools do. Johns Hopkins does, like even like the University of Maryland does, like a lot of schools does do. Like even like Rochester had like a laser lab, that's funded by the Department of Energy. That's like the second biggest laser in the nation, and they have a whole separate research lab for that laser and all the experiments that they do. So those internal opportunities are a good first step because you're already a part of the institution. Two are professional organizations like SHIP or NESB or Mbeya. Um, they all have big career fairs, all those organizations. And those career fairs are magical because that's where you can talk to those people at those second tier opportunity levels, like your national laboratories and stuff, and like your crazy startups or like your federal government jobs, or even like your smaller contractors or smaller auto companies, whatever it is. You get FaceTime if you go to those conferences, and a lot of times at a place like MIT, they will pay for you to go. So at University of Rochester, I got my internship at the Navy, where I worked in their measurement laboratory through going to NESB. And I met a guy at NESB. There was no one even in this line because everyone was in the line for Boeing or Lockheed Martin. But I ended up having a cooler internship than my classmates who got those jobs at this Navy laboratory. And they took us on aircraft carrier tours and like a fighter jet maintenance facility tour. They gave us talks on the structure of the government, and like got to support some metal 3D printing research and like all kinds of things. At this job, there wasn't even a long line. So at those fairs, you have long lists of organizations, and a lot of the really cool ones are going to be the places that don't have the long lines.
Gotcha.
So those are my two top level like opportunity finders are those professional societies and then internal research opportunities that are more applied.
And then, okay, real. I was gonna ask like two follow-up questions. One of them being like, okay, you get the long list of companies. A lot of I'm just thinking like as a person who went to the career fair recently, it's like, okay, I get this
Mhm.
long list of companies. I don't know these names. And so like how do you like do you do like how much research are you doing beforehand of like, oh, I want to go to this company that I know that this line is not going to be that long, but I know that they do really cool stuff. Or like, yeah, how would you approach like knowing where to approach?
Yeah. A good example of this would be you get the list of companies, look up every single one.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you look them up and you start to see, oh, wait, like this place did this. Wow, that's special. That's the type of thing I want to do one day. That should be who you should talk to. So any place that you think like that, that's a win. Because
Yeah.
ultimately there is no good career that's universal. It needs to be shaped by what you want to do.
Gotcha. So okay, so yeah, so it's gonna take some sort of equity of like do your research, and then from that research, there's going to be something like that's going to like call to yours like things that are specific and particular to your journey and like what you find interesting, and then go there.
Yeah, yeah, go to those places first. And the thing is, I think of it like this. If it's a big fair, like the MIT one's pretty big. I've been and um write down 10. Talk about 10.
Yeah.
And look on their website to see what you find. Because if you say, hey, I see that you're hiring an intern, well, that's different. It's someone who's like, I don't know.
So yeah, like having the press having the questions preloaded and like having that preparation seems very important.
Yeah, because no one there has that for the most part. Everyone else is just running around talking to whoever based on whatever they know off the top of their head.
Okay, real. And
So,
then I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
oh no, I was just gonna say like a lot of these things are very simple, stupid. Like a lot of these things are just very much like you gotta just like be like, okay, I'm a nigga in the hood. I'm trying to learn about XYZ. Who do I talk to? How do I find out XYZ? Oh, what type of questions do I ask? You want to be a little stupid, but you also want to know enough where they're like, okay, he knows something.
Got
He's not trying to get me in trouble. Okay, he actually wants to know the plug. Cool, cool. Like,
you. Okay, okay. And then I was gonna say like to that point, like basically it's like the overarching subtopic is like, okay, when you have that FaceTime, like how do you go about talking to these people slash like because okay, in particular, going to MIT slash engineering things in general, like a gap in the market that I've noticed is the fact that a lot of these people seem to like social skills slash like the ability to correctly like talk and or market themselves. It seems like I'm not sure. Yeah, the question is, have you always had that ability? And then if not, how did you develop it?
yeah, no, I mean, I've had this ability for a while, mainly because, like I said, when I was 16, I didn't have a plan for college. To be honest, like my grandma who raised me, like she passed away from cancer, and like I was like, wow, I'm 16 now, and like I don't know what the heck I'm even gonna do with my life. Like, and at some point, I was always a okay student. I took AP classes and stuff, and I didn't think I was particularly good at anything, but I think at some point I was like, math is cool, and I couldn't take AP Physics and Calculus at the same time, so I was like, I'm gonna take community college calculus. So I went to community college and took calculus and passed it, and I was like, oh, I got some here. So the way that I learned about this skill after that was that practice even of finding that calculus class and saying, as a high school kid, I'm going to take this at night. I'm going to take the bus to take calculus at community college
Mm.
when no one else was doing that. It turns out it was a better math class than any of my high school ones. I'm like, why would anyone take AP calculus when you could just take a community college class and get a C in it and still get college credit?
Exactly. And it'll
That's
be done
great.
fast. Yeah.
So like exercises like that of just being like, oh, there's this thing that exists, no one else is doing it, but why can't I? So following on that note, like I got into college because I joined this organization called Upward Bound, and they have programs all across the nation for first gen and low income kids, and they helped us with our college applications, and I think that like I only got part of that organization because I was talking to someone on a college tour that I went on about saxophone or something, and they're like, hey, like this group is starting to meet up. You should come. So like a lot of this is like just like talking to people about stuff, and like a lot of it's like you're not gonna know.
Mm.
So like when you're at that career fair talking to someone, right? You're not gonna really know what they're gonna be about, what their personality is gonna be. You're not gonna know if their life story overlaps. You're not gonna know what they see in you, but that's part of the fun. So it's just like the guy who hired me from the Navy. I was a California dude, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm a California dude." He's like, "Oh, you're a California dude." Then he looked at my resume and he asked where I was from. I said Oakland. And when he saw my resume, he was like, "This kid's from Oakland and he has done all this. This dude's incredible."
Mm.
Because he understood the context of what he was looking at.
Yeah.
And and like I never felt so special at that time before because it was like, but at that point, I thought, I had made it to a fancy school and stuff, but I didn't think about that, about what he was looking at and what he realized that, oh wow, this kid's from California, from like a work class area, and made it to this and it's done all this. Oh, I want this dude. Wouldn't have known that. Couldn't have predicted that.
Yeah.
Like, so like you just never know who you're gonna talk to. So it's like when you're talking to people, one, listen to their stories.
Mm.
Ask them about what do you do? What's your favorite part about this place? And then when they ask you about your experience, you shape your answer based on what they've told you about what they are interested, what they have done. So you shape your many things you could talk about based on those responses that they give you. Because then you don't need to be a mind reader. That's
'Cause, like,
impossible.
yeah, like, and it's like if you lead with enough curiosity, most people are like
Mhm.
to tell you about themselves and or like the things they find fascinating. It's just like you have to have the ear open to listen.
Yeah. And I think one thing too is that like the competition factor at fancy schools can sometimes be a detractor more than a like you could think, oh, it's gonna make me a better student, it's gonna make me a better engineer. No. Being in competition just literally is just a blinder half the time because you're in competition with people who don't even know what the priorities are after. It's like the blind leading the blind. It's just like, huh? If you want to get a PhD, sure, competing is important if you want to get a PhD. But if that's not what you're trying to do, why would you run a race like you're trying to get a PhD if that's not what you want?
Yeah. Yo, okay. You just reminded me of like another conversation I had, but like basically like they were like playing different games and like the like why would you hold yourself up to the metric of somebody whose game you're not trying to win? So like for me, like an issue I had for like okay, like that competition piece, like, oh, I go to MIT, I'm supposed to be smart, I'm supposed to be showing that I'm smart, et cetera, et cetera. But then it's like I like that same thing of like taking the breather, step back, of like, bro, you're not aiming for a PhD. You're aiming for like the salary, if anything, and then turning that into entrepreneurship. So you don't need a 5.0 like the kid who's trying to go to med school. That's a different path he's walking. It's like I don't know. I forgot which exact conversation I said this in, but it's like if Mario tries to like measure his bank account by gold rings, and or Sonic tries to measure his by gold coins, they're both gonna think they're broke. But it's like, bro, you're playing a different game. Hold like measure different things because you're playing. You have a different objective.
Yeah. So measure things based on your objective. So if you want to get paid and like if you want to build a business, well, you got a few different paths there. So it's like if you want to get paid, well, one, skills, 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 skills. MIT is MIT. So whether you are bottom of your class or top of your class, frankly, it doesn't really matter very much. Um, like the value of the MIT from a name standpoint, you already got it. You're already there. Everyone graduates. This is one of the nice things about elite schools that I actually say everyone graduates because like they're literally designed for everyone to graduate or they look bad. So
Yeah.
like they'll get you through. So like you'll graduate, you'll get your engineering degree whether you're bottom or top, no one cares. And then and then two is um you have this magical opportunity where at your like fingertips you have the best minds in a cadre of areas. You will not get this opportunity again unless you work at either a national laboratory or you go get a graduate degree. And otherwise, you're just not going to be around that. You'll be around that for specific things, maybe at your job. If it's a good job, you will be at around it for your specific area. But that's about as good as you're going to get unless you go back into academia or you work in a very wide range research space, which there's not many of them.
So yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot too. Of like, this is very much a sliding window that I'm currently in, and it's like, or a closing window, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, okay,
Okay.
how do I maximize this opportunity while it lasts? Because it's finite.
But well, I guess I have a question for you. What are you interested in?
Me personally, in terms of like technical aspects, I'm interested in like mechatronics and robotics, but like if I'm being quite honest, my overall interests have shifted towards like entrepreneurship and like that more interpersonal and like social aspect, which is like which is where the I guess like the content side and like the personal brand stuff is like coming from. Cause like I've always I don't know, I feel like my highest order objective above all else is that I like to create or I want to create. And it's like engineering and having like the skills like of okay, I this is going to give me the ability to create like products such as like robots and stuff like that. That's one form of creation. But I also
Yeah.
like music, like I create like I like write music, I like create the videos. Like it's just like my I'm interested in removing as many barriers as possible to turning whatever random thoughts or like ideas come to my head into reality. Having engineering is like, okay, if I want to create a technical solution, I now have the skills, like the toolbox to be able to do it in that field. And then like, okay, I just like music. So it's like, okay, writing and music is another way to like get it out in that field. And then I've like, since getting to college and like doing this online stuff, is like, okay, another medium I've also discovered is like, now you can also put it into video form and like telling a story. And like, I think, yeah, like I'm really interested in like storytelling in various different mediums.
Yeah, dude, that's important, man. And like hold on to that because like the fact that like I reached out to you, dude, like that shows that you got a gift, brother. Like
Thank
hold on to
you.
that gift, man. Like it's one of those things where it's like I play jazz in college. I play saxophone. I still play. I play in a variety of community jazz bands. I play clarinet. I jam with people. People hit me up to like just play at random things. It's awesome. And like I play like a lot. Like and like I guess I can call myself a professional musician to some level. Like these days. And um it's one of those things where it's just like I like music and like outside of work, I'm a kind of harebrained guy. Like I suck at keeping a schedule. Frankly, I don't want to keep a super strict schedule outside of work because I'm trying to vibe. Like it's just like it's so like like it's just sort of like I mean like I do the work that I do now is because like I like coming up with novel solutions, but not super narrow ones. I like bigger problems. Not too big, but like bigger problems that I can create strategies for and get the best minds and say, I got this idea. I'm a smart guy, but you're smarter than I am in many areas, including technical, which is what I'm happy so about. You should be smarter than me, technically. Like, like, but I'm smart enough to help get things out of your way to do your brilliant technical work. I come up with technical ideas, but you help me fill in gaps that I don't know and ways that my strategy may suck. Great. Tell me. Like, give me that research report that you wrote. Give me that research paper that so and so at another organization wrote. Steer me. Because I'm smart enough to read it. I'm smart enough to understand it. I'm not smart enough to know everything though. So, like, I am not wedded to this because I don't value being the smartest guy in the room. That's just not how I roll. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, frankly. Like, that's difficult. Like,
Yeah.
so like that's how I roll. And like that's how I roll at work in a different context. But I still try to use those skills and use those like things that like I got I guess like on my table of tools and use them for multiple purposes because like everything's dual use in some like capacity.
Yeah.
So like you might as well think of it that way because then you get to hone your skills on two different fronts.
Yeah.
And like that's a dope thing. So like for example, you could be an engineer and you could be an engineer in like a research space or even at like a company, and you could be brilliant at connecting different lines of work, and you could become a program manager, but a technical one who like
Mm.
make sure that things being built meet customer needs, or customer support engineer who goes to customers or and understands things, or consultant even. There's so many like technical fields that need people like yourself. So like if you don't want to be a widget maker, don't be a widget maker. Like that's fine. Like frankly, most engineers want to be widget makers. So like you'll probably have an easier time. And one of the things that you might want to explore, which this is where I ultimately landed, but I'm a systems engineer. Because one, mechanical is difficult because it's a trade. It's a trade. Well, that's hard because that means that as a young cat, however smart you are, it takes years and years and years to get good at that trade because you don't learn most of these things in school.
Mm.
I can be mildly impatient at times. So the process of that did not make me feel excited. I was like, wait, I gotta do this for all these years, and then I gotta do these for all these years, and then dude who's been doing this for 20 years will still be better than me.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. And then also with mechanical, it's hard to find opportunities. I had a beast mechanical resume for like a kid out of school, and I could find opportunities, but that's just because I was scrappy. But if I just applied online, I would have gotten a job still, but like it wouldn't have been easy. And like I was just like, wait. So I got an exceptional resume here, and it's still not easy. What? So and also it's really clicky. It's mechanical, super clicky. Where it's like if you're an aerospace dude, okay, you can find aerospace things. But if you try to go to like a robotics company, you're an aerospace dude, not a robotics dude. You go to the energy sector, nah, you're an aerospace dude, not an energy dude.
Mm.
And you can get around it from your hard skills, but it's just sort of like it's kind of clicky based on what sector you're in or even what subgroup you're in. So if you're a manufacturing dude, becoming a design engineer, it might not be very easy.
Mm. Mm.
So what systems engineering is, there's not a lot of them. So the opportunities are insane, dude.
Nice.
Insane. And no one learns it in school. So no one learns to be a system engineer. And also it's a huge field. So you could be designing the architecture of a new tank and all the parts, how all the computing works together. You could be doing systems engineering for the grid, the energy grid, and like how do you incorporate AI algorithms to regulating the grid or doing your energy balance. And you have to create architectures for data to be fed, for your algorithm to be collecting information. What's the cycle of your algorithm controlling the grid or informing an operator about the energy balance based on, maybe even future forecasts? So you have to design systems. So like for your AI system in that case, is it going to be machine to machine where your AI is controlling everything, or is it going to feed to a person? You have to think through all that. Like that's not like a given. Like it's just sort of like you say algorithm, okay, and like okay, but like is it like what like do you want that thing to feed everything? If that thing isn't tested, I don't. So who is it going to feed information to? So like when you're making a business idea, you have to think about all this stuff too.
Yeah. That's okay. That's actually very, very like okay, so there's two things. One, having just heard you say that, my interest in being a systems engineer just peaked very heavily because it seems like you mentioned, like that same mindset or whatever that you mentioned, like I don't necessarily have to be the smartest person at any one of these particular skills, but my value comes from the fact that I can first and foremost be able to get out of my own way, like put my ego aside and like recognize that I'm not the smartest, but then also like okay, therefore it's like, what are the pieces that I need to put together into like this larger scale puzzle? It's like, okay, let me get the smart dude. Like, let me get the smart AI dude, and then I know he's gonna be like, okay, smart AI dude, and then, hmm, okay, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems as though from like if that's the case, the primary challenge is like being able to communicate your vision to those different like implementer people.
Yes, because they might get really hung up on minutia, and you're like, God damn it, like I'm trying to do X, Y, Z. You're like, man, this is difficult. So this is why my thoughts are in this time while you're in school, get hands-on experience in those areas. Be around the technical people doing the technical work now. Because the beauty of that is you have a lot of systems engineers who have never been around the technical folk in the trenches. So if you can be the guy who's been in the trenches while keeping this bigger idea of what you're striving for, that will help guide your engagement with those technical people later. Because you'll be like, I've worked with them, I've met them, I know like there's general approaches and there's touchy points. So even if you don't know the touchy areas, at least after working with them, you'll be like, okay, I work with them. Like, I should find out what these soft points are like that. Like people get real touchy about.
Mm.
And and like that's an opportunity as well. And also while interviewing, if you can get in a few areas, so like pick a couple of topics. If you can get an internship or some research experience on campus in two or three different areas, oh, especially if they go together well,
Mm.
man, man.
Okay, because like to that point, like you had mentioned, like connecting together the different buckets.
Yeah.
Hmm. There's a
So
couple
the fact that
different.
you're doing Mechie and CS, right?
Yeah,
That's a dope combo. Dope combo.
and then yes, like the idea with that is like okay, Mechie and CS, and then the way to connect like connecting those buckets into like AI robotics is that my like technical plan. I guess like
Yeah.
if I'm like and to the degree that I remain boots on ground, that's like the path I'm trying to carve for myself.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
So here's the thing is you do need to be careful because the problem that you'll get in this is because as the guy who's sort of kind of been around both of these because like in my last job I was a modeling and simulation engineer as well, but I was like writing code to do analysis and do simulations.
Hmm.
So as a guy who did that every day, I use Git. Like I developed all my pipelines and like I use C++ and Python. Like I was like half aerospace. I was like half aerospace engineer, half like CS dude, with like a sprinkling of systems engineering mainly because that's how stuff was being used. So I wasn't the systems engineer, but like my stuff was directly like feeding system engineering processes. So like that's kind of like the context of how I kind of got into systems, got into that way of thinking professionally, was seeing how my technical work was feeding this process. So the way to do better technical work is to understand the process that you're feeding information into. Um, so like, yeah, like I think that in terms of like CS though, you want to make sure that you're focused on areas of CS that actually apply to what you're doing. Because this is the challenge. I hated CS in college. I took one CS class. It was like a Java class, useless. I thought it was terrible because it didn't speak to what I was interested in. I was a Mechie. Why the hell would a Java class be interesting to me? Like I didn't want to make like like web tools or games or whatever. Like that was what I cared about. So like I would say the areas of CS are likely going to dovetail your mechanical education well. Going to be the more electrical engineering adjacent ones. Like computer vision, you're gonna have like things that like even data science stuff because like a lot of times you can like get like a lot of like like data analysis and stuff like that. Like a lot of that like kind of feeds in to algorithms, or feeds into like, okay, you have like computer vision, like you have like all these like things being seen and you're able to categorize stuff. But a lot of analysis can be done. So like you just want to make sure that like there's a lot of CS stuff that just doesn't dovetail very well.
Yeah.
And a lot of folk are not going to tell you that. So you might end up going down rabbit holes that like just aren't that helpful to what you want to do. Like databases. Databases isn't like, well, like a database, like that's not really applicable to mechanical engineering at all. So, because part of CS does touch electrical engineering a lot.
Yeah.
So like that tends to be the area of CS that like tends to be the more like robotics focused, more helpful stuff. Um, so like you know, electrical engineering is sort of like the magical sweet spot in my opinion now. As someone who has been in that space enough, I'm like, damn, they. It's a painful area because they don't talk to each other very well. There's a lot of subgroups. Yeah, they have a lot of turf wars in electrical engineering, but but um, nevertheless, like electrical engineers do the interfacing with CS quite well.
Yeah.
And like you don't need to be an electrical engineer to learn from that though. So it's like controls is a great intersection, for example. Like if you get into control stuff, controls intersects a lot with that like CS piece, because like okay, like if you're a robot, you have like AI algorithms running to control aspects of your robot. Well, there's still a motor that's moving. There's like
Yeah.
all these there's all these control algorithms that are keeping your robot balanced. So yeah, the AI might be driving perception, or might be driving uh um motion planning. So like what path is your robot gonna walk, or what how is your self-driving car gonna drive? So like the AI is driving that, but then you have all these other control algorithms that are running just to keep the thing stable, or to like to move like the wheels. Like you have all these like more manual processes going along with these higher level processes.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So to that point, I think in terms of like, because right now I'm still like, I haven't yet started to specialize really because like I'm a sophomore, so like first
Yeah,
year was really just like general institutional requirements.
yeah.
This first semester you start getting like a little bit of a taste of like, and so in terms of like mech classes, I've taken the mechanics and materials, which is basically like
Yeah,
free body diagrams,
yeah,
statics,
solid
like
mechanics.
cantilever, all that good stuff. And then this semester I took dynamics, which is like dynamics and controls, but mostly
I
dynamics.
remember dynamics.
It's basically just like it's pretty much just like physics, bro. Like physics with
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of extra steps. And so like
yeah.
I feel like this next semester is when I really and then you had mentioned like taking electronics or CS class. I took electronics and circuits. And I think
Oh,
like
good.
yeah, and I think like to like yeah, like exactly to what you were saying, like, oh yeah, I see where the CS because like the person who teaches that class is the same one who teaches like the fundamentals of programming class, which is another class I take this semester. His name is
Oh,
like Adam,
awesome. Oh, that's a good one.
like his name is Adam Hart. So it's like, okay, I feel like I finally gotten like, okay, I got a decent floor built now. And it's like, where do I start going from here? So it's like sound like controls and robotics classes are most likely to move, is what it's looking like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, like that's a great like dovetail. And also any classes that you can do like any like sort of like design or like building things.
Yes.
In a lot of those classes though, what you might find for your electives, some of those really cool ones might be in classes like does MIT have an ocean engineering thing? I think they do. It could be an ocean engineering or aerospace. A lot of those classes are in those areas. And now, this is just my hot take. My hot take is this: aerospace is the best at like the aero people are the best at learning multiple things and being able to do. Because aerospace is everything. It's CS, it's electrical, it's mechanical, it's physics.
Mm.
So aerospace, if you get some cool elective time, look at the aerospace classes because they. And here's the thing too: aerospace is also very good at systems thinking, because like if you're trying to do like a space system architecture? Well, you gotta know about your ground segment. You gotta know about your delivery vehicle. You have to then know about your satellite. Like you have to know about the sensors on your satellite. There's all these different things that are all coming together that enable a satellite system to work. So like aerospace has a lot of those classes. So like if you look at the aerospace classes, you'll see a lot of those classes, like in their overall curriculum. Mechanicals better at it in that controls robotic space. That's a better space mechanical. But once you get in like fluids and some other stuff, that tends to be a little more isolated.
Gotcha.
So controls is a good space to like focus in if you if you're trying to stay mechanical. But also if you get a chance, look at the aerospace stuff too, because they got a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they also span topics a lot in their classes.
Okay.
But the thing is, the nice thing is you like get electives, so like you don't have to change the degree to take a few electives in like another area.
Yeah. Right.
Do you have an internship though lined up?
Not currently. I have a Europe, like Europe for like January coming up. So like when I go back to, I'm going back to school on the 8th of January
Yeah.
to be like I mentioned, like the media lab. I'm working with them to like essentially like, yeah, I'm working with them
Oh
to organize
man.
an
Okay.
assembly about climate sustainability. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be,
Oh
I'm
good.
turning it into a series of like I'm trying to like I'm trying to synergize as much things at once in like one opportunity. But
Yeah.
then in terms of internship, I need to lock in harder with that. I'm honestly like in terms of like how am I going to shift my actions, I'm going to start leaning a bit more heavily into like that side door method of like, okay, these sending out the applications through the portals doesn't seem to be that effective for me. We're gonna start doing more LinkedIn shots and like asking, hey bro, like I see you're a recruiter. Do you guys have a new job?
Well, okay. Keep me in the loop, man.
Yeah,
Dude, like, I know how to do this stuff pretty well, and like that tends to be like my one of my superpowers. I'm good at finding things. I'm a scrappy dude. Now, if you're looking for polished, I'm not your guy for that. Like, I can speak technical. I can do technical if you want, but like, do you want like salesman? I'm not your guy for sales. I'll probably undercut my idea multiple times in my spiel. Um, yeah, like so. But I will paint a cohesive picture though. So with the goods
yeah.
and the bads. But like, I'm not good at just focusing on the goods. That's beyond my level of tact. But nevertheless, like that process of finding internships, luckily, your Europe, when does it end?
Uh, this newest one is going to end like January 31st, like going into February.
Okay, cool. So that's plenty of time. So this is my hot take is essentially I would put together your resume as good as you can now, but if you find things that interest you now, that's great and apply. If you are finding that juggling too many things is hard, it's okay if you wait till you start sending out the apps because once you start the media lab, that's gonna work wonders with people's minds. So having
Mm,
that as your first line on your resume is a helpful thing.
gotcha.
And let's definitely talk more because
Yeah.
I got some I got some I got some stuff in mind that could be pretty cool. And if you're interested in that sustainability piece or just more research lab stuff, I know about both those spaces fairly well. So like there's a lot around Boston because here's one of the things. Location matters.
Yeah.
So if you're at MIT has the most weight around Boston.
Yeah.
Now, it has comparable weight around many other big cities too, but the thing is, even though it may have comparable weight, your direct access to those networks might be a little more indirect.
Yeah.
So, if you want the most direct, starting off here is a good way to get your first heavy hitter internship. Because this is what I say: heavy hitter internships are dope because they beget more heavy hitter internships.
Real.
So it's just sort of like getting that one heavy hitter one. It's just good. And heavy hitter, like to be honest, if you can get a co-op at Lincoln Lab, dude, like that would be a great place to go because you can go to talks. They have a ton of interns at co-ops, a ton of them. So like when I was there, the co-ops I worked with, one was at SpaceX, like the summer before. One was at like iRobot. One was at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab doing like humanoid robot stuff. These are just co-ops. One was doing one was at JPL the summer before. I was at the Naval Research Lab, well, like, well, not Naval Research Lab. It's a Navy lab.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's a whole bunch of them, but I just call it that because it's simpler for people to understand.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, um, that was my intern group. Incredible group.
Mm.
So like, and they're all doing incredible things now. So part of this is not just a now thing, part of this is a future thing. Because when you like are around those incredible people at your co-ops, at your internships, at MIT even, and those really hands-on people, those people like they remember you
Yeah.
and you'll remember them. And one of those dudes who was a tinkerer, I hooked him up with like a job at MITRE. So that job that I mentioned that I was building drones, I didn't want it. I plugged him up with it. He's working there now. He got the job. Because
Oh,
I was
really?
like, nah, I'm gonna do this think tank thing. But hey, you like
First right up
like
your alley.
yeah. I asked if he was interested. I connected. Bang, got the job.
So dope.
Yeah. So MIT internal is your easiest way, but I definitely think that we should talk because the season's heating up.
Yeah.
Um, um, have you been to any of the conferences yet?
I have not been to Afrotech. I have not. I need to. I guess other than like the two main ones on my radar, Afrotech passed already. I'm trying to get to NESB Nationals. Like I applied through like our chapter uh results. I'm not sure when they come out.
If you
But then I
can,
guess
go to Beya.
Baya.
Yeah, Beya. It's mid-February.
Baya. Okay. Really?
So Beya is incredible, dude. Incredible. It's in DC. They have a lot of stuff, and here's the thing. If there's no group already going, let's talk because there's people at MIT who could likely get you the funding. You just gotta know the right people to start talking to and floating the idea.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
So
so
like you could likely get funding to like go, especially at fancy school and an opportunity like this. Like you're just gonna have to float the idea probably like after the new year, like immediately. But the type of people who you would talk to get the idea floated, like you don't need to know a name per se. All you need to know is a type of position that person is in within your department. And then like you just go to that person of that job title, and then you just like start there. And like they'll be able to tell you like who to email next and whatever. Because they're incredible, dude. The list of the list of people that they are, it's long. Yeah, it's long. And like the worst case, like the worst case here is that like at Baya, they have all these government labs, and the government's a great place to get hired. Part of the reason is because their hiring process is really weird, and they have something called direct hire, where they can hire you on the spot if they like you. So like, which is what happened to me. So in the government, they have all these internships, and like they like don't have the best process. So at these fairs is how they hire a lot of people because they don't want to look at all these resumes, and they're like, that's hell time. So these fairs are actually how they hire a lot of their people. So um including places even like NASA or like the Jet Propulsion Lab. Um, these heavy hitter things are coming up, but like, luckily the government things are a little later. And a lot of the like smaller tech companies or unicorn startups, they tend to be a little later too. So as long as you like start applying in January and February, you'll be fine. Some of the FANG ones that probably already hired their groups
Yeah.
because their process is hella difficult and like just long lead time. But that's okay though. So how about this? As a follow-up, send me a list of the things that you're interested in. Shoot me a list, however long, however short. Just give me an idea of what sectors and what type of things that you're interested in, and I can hit you back with some stuff if you want a starting point. So just let me know and feel free to follow up with me anytime. I'll shoot you my email, my personal email. So just like follow up with me on those, and I can get you started with some like places to look, some resources. Um, because like I'm really fast at doing this stuff, so like it's not a huge lift.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. So like, I hope that this was helpful. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot, but like, it's actually not that much. You think about three things. You want to build skills. You want to build skills. So the ways to do that is through teams internally, research internally at MIT or at whatever school, and three external things like like your co-ops and internships. So those three things, simple, stupid, and you don't need all three. If you can get two of them, that's dope.
Gosh.
So two's a winner. If you get two, oh, you'll be set. One, that's fine too. But two, oh, you're killing it if you get two.
Okay. So
Yeah, man.
executive plan of action, 12:30 right now. I'm about to go to Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah,
to like,
bam, I'm about to dip.
yeah, real. Okay. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna have that list to you by end of day.
Yeah, man, shoot it. I'm like, I'll
Bet.
shoot you my email and yeah. All right, let's go from there.
Perfect. Yeah, thank
All
you
right,
so
peace,
much.
man.
This was a pleasure, bro. I'm so glad
Yeah,
you
man.
reached out. This is wonderful.
All right, peace.
Peace. Okay. Okay. We're still recording. This is the power of the internet, right? Check me out. Because I don't know. I'm currently in the process of like reconfiguring exactly what it is, like who is my target audience and who's gonna be in the school community, right? If you are more like I don't like I can't see the future, right? So say this is like I go more towards like the college application route and you're like some like high school junior or senior and you like join the community because you were interested in like how do I get into MIT? Blah, 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 blah. And then I may or may not have got you on like the fact, hey bro, it's about more than that. It's about more than that so much because the only reason once again why I met that person is because of the fact that I started posting content like okay I'm like trying to proselytize everybody to like oh like I'm looking being a coach like go start posting content or whatever it is but like bro say what you want. I understand that it is somewhat daunting and like oh my god my face is out there but if you're doing it correctly like don't become like a 20v1 YouTuber where you're just like going around like pop the balloon like okay yeah you're messing up your face card but like if you're doing it in a way such that it is authentic and you're truly presenting the thing that you care about, you will therefore attract other people like to you. I think me and him were talking. We had a part where we were like, "Oh yeah, stand for nothing, fall for everything." But another thing that I didn't, he's like, "Oh yeah," and being widely accepted or liked is also not the move either. Something else I wanted to point out to that point is, in order to be magnetic, you have to be polarizing. Like I'm looking, that's one of my like core tenets now too. Of like, bro, if you want everybody to like you, nobody's going to like you because you don't have anything that actually like that you actually stand for. And there's nothing to like. You're just a parrot. Okay. Also, to that point of like people have to dislike you, I'm gonna hit screen share. Hopefully, I don't dox too much, but watch out. So boom, screen share, start broadcast. Hopefully, my phone doesn't die. It's at 6%, right? So screen recording, right? What I wanted to do is go pull up my YouTube. I posted this video a day ago. I'm actually very happy about the performance of said video. 1.7. Oh, I love that for us, right? But I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, this one that comment right there, the one that's like a struggle story. I woke up this morning and I was honestly kind of sad about it. I'm not gonna lie. But it goes back to that point of like you have to be polarizing. That kid probably doesn't like me too much, but too bad. Cry about it, little bro. That's mean. I don't want to say cry about it, little bro, but like little homie's basically like, you're an affirmative action hire, you suck. And I'm like, dang, maybe. But then somebody responded for me. I'm not gonna lie. I woke up this morning, seen that, and I was somewhat like, oh, someone else responded too. I didn't read this, but like I read this and I was like tempted to respond and like bounce back of like, da 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 da. That's because you just don't. Yeah, brother. Let's read what the other comment says. I high key. Yes, thank you, Libra. And then said, how are other applicants better? It seems like you're just mad because he was rewarded for making it out of it. Thank you, little homies. I'm not gonna lie. Thank you, little homies, because I didn't want to say it because I'm bullying, but like, bro, like off my meat sack, little bruh. But that being said, right, in order, like I've also gotten some of those comments from like other people as well, of like, oh, you're an affirmative action hire, you didn't really deserve it, and it's like da, da, da. Or like um conversely, it's like as a result of emphasizing the background in which I have come from, I've also gotten people being like, you're doing like black people. I've gotten some like not get out, what do you call it? Live broadcast of Zoom was stopped due to yeah, I know this. Okay. But basically like put some of that away because you're making us look bad. You shouldn't be saying nigga, you got to these high levels of institution, you should therefore act prim and proper. But I'm bro, I just got an email from LA Fitness. I'm not responding to that. But yeah, dog, TLDR, put yourself out there and like I'm so glad I met him, bro, because it seems like our values line of like, bro, that systems engineer thinking, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm so very thankful and blessed for the opportunity that I have been like but that have been bestowed upon me and my resolution in the face of the fact that I got low key blessed. Cause like that's so serendipitous that I met that dude. Like and like bro, he just put me onto crazy sauce. And it's like, what am I going to do in the face of that? Pay for it. That's the idea. That's why this is recorded. So all that sauce I just got, I'm gonna take it and apply it. You should take it and apply it too. I was about to say it's up to you what you decide to do with that, but you should take it and apply it. Like, don't be a bum. But that being said, let's get it. See y'all in the next.